Greetings, everyone. I'm Mar. Once again, this is my opinion. In families, sometimes you'll run into one of two situations. One where there's a family member that everybody knows is a little weird, has some weird idiosyncrasies, and is a bit eccentric, and they either don't want to be around them or hate being around them but tolerate them. Or they have to do favors for certain family members every now and then sometimes might go a little bit into that first one, but they hate having to do favors. This episode of Raymond deals with both. First, it deals with that second one, and then it goes into the first one. And this, of course, is Cousin Gerard. Like I said in the last episode, this is one I usually skip, and watching it again, my feelings on this episode have not changed. It does have some funny moments and a funny little premise, but it's still one I'm like, this type of thing has been done in better episodes before and a few after. And of course, it's dealing with Ray being like another family member more than he thought it would be. And that's another thing it kind of touches on, is that family, you'll sometimes share little mannerisms and stuff. I mean, it's a little off topic, but one thing with Forrest Gump that people always argue back and forth on is whether little Forrest Jr. is actually Forrest's son. But the thing is that the mannerisms, all that, it's like, it's his kid, you can stop those tests. Here, you can see Ray and Gerard are really family. Just little idiosyncrasies. Now, with the first thing about eccentric and all that, depending on the family, it's one of those things like, we don't have one, but then you're like, oh yeah, that's me. Like me, they probably would, at least on the mother's side, they probably might say it's me, but it's like, okay, if that's what you want to say. I don't know if I'm weird. Idiosyncrasies and eccentric, maybe, but just different than everyone else. Dad's side, don't know. But anyway, not being around me, yeah, maybe, but I think it's more because we have different interests and different views than my weirdness, or at least now. Maybe when I was younger, yeah, but now, no. But getting back on the topic of the episode, Ray is finally getting around to writing his book, which is this little subplot that's mentioned off and on for the next couple seasons. I don't know if it's the same book. They never really comment on it, other than it's about sports, obviously, because Ray is a sports writer. And later on, he's not going to be able to publish it, but here he starts working on it. Marie comes down and is like, oh yeah, I heard you're working on it. Does it have to be about sports, which is a subplot that they continue with Marie, that's like, Marie, you should be happy your son is making money, know that. Just because he's a sports writer does not mean he's wasting his life as a writer. Someone has to cover it, and your son likes sports, and he decided to go that direction as a writer. Drop it. But of course, that's Marie's character. She's never going to fully let things go. She'll bring it up when most convenient. Well, it turns out she owes her sister a favor, and Gerard is his maternal cousin. She brings him down, which is one of those things that's like, really? You have him on hand before you even ask Ray? That's such a Marie thing. And the moment you see Gerard, you're like, oh yeah, because they cast an actor that does have a passing resemblance to Ray Romano. That's Fred Stoller. Also has a nasally voice. Though I said Stoller's is a bit more annoying because of the tone he gives himself. Are they nice and firm? It's more like a joke tone, but it fits this type of character. If you've seen Austin Powers 3, you've seen Fred Stoller as the guy that goes up to the melon girl. And with how we've seen Ray behave, imagine if you took the worst elements of Ray, amplified them a bit, and put him in a character. That's Gerard. He has that nasal voice. He's always negative. He always harps on stuff. He brings up his medical conditions, which in certain circumstances is right to bring up medical conditions, but he brings them up in situations where he don't need to. Like when Ray asks him to highlight any grammar misspellings or whatnot. He's like, do I have to use this highlighter? It's giving off fumes. It's making me high over here. It's one of those things that's like, oh my God, Gerard. And then other little things as the episode goes on. It's like, I don't like standing here, my sciatica. It's like, oh my God, Gerard. You're complaining like you're a 70-year-old man and you're probably the same age as Ray, so in your mid-30s. It's like, dang, Gerard. Now, after talking with Deborah, Ray comes to a realization that him and Gerard are more similar than he thought. Then he brings it up to the rest of the family. And what makes the comedic timing here is that the moment that those words escape his mouth and it cuts to a shot of them, they all noticeably pause like they're eating, and it's like, and they keep going, and Ray even points this out. And then they're like, now that you mention it, we never noticed, but maybe it's because we have grown used to you and your behavior. That's why we never noticed the connection. And they harp on it, which annoys Ray even further, and he doesn't want them to make it fun of Gerard. And he tries to help Gerard, but it just makes him more annoying to Gerard, and Gerard even calls him annoying, which is one of the words that they use regarding Ray and his behavior, that he's a bit annoying. Now, Deborah, since she's married to Ray, she's probably meaning it in a playful manner for the most part. But as we've seen in episodes prior and in episodes in the future, there are things about Ray that she does find genuinely annoying. The main thing, of course, being that he is a little bit of a man-child and does try to get out of responsibilities, especially ones he should be doing, like the child care. But she does love him despite all this. And so her saying it's a bit loving, and everyone else saying it's also a bit loving, but you can also tell that they're used to him, but they're also pulling down Gerard and legitimately making fun of him, which is sad, but sometimes family will do that to you, but that's one thing you got to get used to, I guess, in certain circumstances. And if you don't like it, hey, just don't associate with that family. I guess that's part of the reason we rarely see Gerard. And I don't think we really see his mother as an actual character, unless his mother is supposed to be Aunt Alda. They never really specify if it's Alda or another sister of Marie's. I'm assuming it's going to be Alda, since it sounds like it is his sister and all that. And she even lies later on and says, my mother owes your mother a favor. It's like, ooh, so who owes who a favor? Who's spinning the story what way? With how that family seems, I could see Marie saying one thing and her sister Alda saying another, if it is in fact Alda. All in all, this is a pretty entertaining episode. It does have some good little comedic moments, but like I said at the top of this review, a lot of this stuff is done better in previous episodes and later episodes. Just, I don't know if I'd say much ado about nothing, other than the fact we actually do get an episode that shows Gerard, because before this he'd only been in background shots and some deleted scenes and episodes where the whole family's there. He's never actually been a full-on character. And if I remember correctly, after this he only really has one more big moment, and that's later in the same season during the wedding renewal one, where he plays the same song he plays on the accordion, which he plays a variation of Smoke on the Water on the accordion. And he's hired to play the wedding march. So I was like, do you know any other songs? Dun 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 dun. That actually sounds pretty good on the accordion, by the way. So having him go down to the basement and play is like, oh yeah, nice little idiosyncrasy there. Him going and venting and rocking out in his own weird way. Weird Al Yankovic would be proud. There is one deleted scene to mention, and it involves Deborah throwing away Ray's notes that he left on the kitchen table. And he complains to Deborah about it. It's like, why you throw my notes away? Don't throw them away. And then she gives him the housework ultimatum as a threat to him. Yeah, he's like, you don't want him to throw it away? Then start doing it. Which I get, but at the same time, it's like, look at what you're throwing away before you throw it away. Now, I know it was a napkin in this case, but it's like, if it looks important, at least ask Ray before you throw it away, because you never know. It's like going into his office and throwing papers away because they look like they might be expired or whatnot. It's like you never know what might be on them. It's one thing if you yourself throw them away and then you're like, oh yeah, I was an idiot, I forgot there was something on there, or that was an important one. But throwing away someone else's papers just because they might not look important, it's like, yeah. That's also a weird thing to do as a parent. It's like, at least put them aside or put them in a nice place, or double check before throwing them away. Like as a kid, I hated when my grandmother would reorganize my room. It's like, I had everything where I wanted it. But, you know, that's a parent thing. It doesn't anymore, but you kind of miss it a little bit, but then you're like, at least I don't have to worry about going like, where'd that thing go? Oh, there it is, right where I put it. Certain things taking forever to find, like the Pokemon guide. But, like I said, on the whole, interesting episode, fun premise. I could see why that scene was deleted. Because other than like adding a little top joke, it doesn't really add anything to the full episode other than establishing Ray is working on his book, which is done better in the following scene. Nice to see Cousin Gerard in there, even though it's just there to, he's essentially just there to be used as a plot device to do Raymond and Gerard comparison jokes. And like I said, done better in other episodes. This is definitely the definition of a filler episode, which is, as I've mentioned in the joke, sitcom writing. But when you got 24 episodes to fill, they can't all be winners. And I would say this is definitely one of the reasons why, as a whole, I think Season 4 isn't as good as Season 3. I mean, it's still a good season, but then when you get episodes like this, I can tell you I'd rather watch The Babysitter than this one, because at least that one is funnier, and as an adult, even though I don't have kids yet, you can identify with it. Whereas this one, it's like, oh, and then we got another Ray blasting episode. Oh, good for this season. But thankfully, the next couple episodes are going to be a palate cleanser, especially the next one, which, when I was first watching this show in syndication, I did not know this was that far, this close. I thought it was a couple seasons later or like that, but that's what happens when you watch in syndication. You don't know the season order. And that, of course, is going to be Deborah's workouts. No deleted scenes, but it's going to be a fun episode to discuss considering the context of it. Definitely a palate cleanser following this, and from what I can remember, I could see why Gerard is not seen in syndication until he's a background player in the wedding episode. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you do want to support the channel, the Patreon link is down below. You'll get access to certain videos early. You get to do requests depending on what tier you go to. If you go to the lowest one, you get 1 request per month. If you just want to do a one-off request to support the channel, the PayPal link is also down below. Until next time, guys. See ya.